the last contestant of the day may be the strongest spirit of all.
My name is Micah Johnson, and I'm the next American Idol. I've loved to sing ever since I came out of my mom. My mom would be at church, and she said that the music would start and her stomach would start moving while I was inside. So I've loved music all my life. I recently got my tonsils removed, and the doctor that did my tonsils hit some nerves and left me talking with a speech impediment. When they were taking out my tonsils, it's normally supposed to be like a 45-minute procedure, and they told me that it took about an hour and a half to actually pull out my tonsils because they were so big. So that was where hitting the nerves came into play. It's one in a 100,000 happened to. I go to a speech therapist, and it's been helping. If I got a golden ticket, it would bring a smile to my face, and it would just prove to me that despite the obstacles, I can still do anything.
I've actually had nerve damage myself, and I thought it was never gonna go away. It was in my arm. And I'm just wondering, did they give you hope about it going away?
They said once it healed that this was pretty much what I was stuck with. I do go see a speech therapist, so it's been helping.
So can you sing? Should you be here singing now?
I feel like that I can be an inspiration for somebody else. There are people that have been inspirations for me, so why give up?
Exactly. What are you gonna sing tonight?
I'm gonna sing Chicken Fried by the Zac Brown Band.
Hey, hello, we know that song.
Let's hear it.
All right.
Well, I was raised up beneath the shade of a Georgia pine, and that's home, you know. Sweet tea, pecan pie, and homemade wine, where the peaches grow. And my house, it ain't much to talk about, but it's filled with love and grown in southern ground.
Yeah.
And a little bit of chicken fried. A cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. I like to see the sun rise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Wow. I mean, this is the biggest fake out I think I've ever had.
That's amazing.
Dude, we were leaning in because we couldn't even hear you speak, and then you open up your mouth and you sing like a bird. What is going on here?
Just sing it all the time.
As soon as you start singing, you transform into like a beautiful voice. Absolutely, without a doubt, in my opinion, ready for the competition.
Gosh, it was beautiful.
It was your spirit. It was you there, and I was moved by your story. But even if you didn't have that story, I still would have been moved by your voice and the fact that you put it all into that song.
And a little bit of chicken fried.
Yeah, a little chicken fried.
Made me wanna go to the
I've been
soul
eating all day,
restaurant.
so I'm really hungry.
Exactly. So should we vote?
Absolutely.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yes! Welcome to Hollywood. Last one of the day in LA, Long Beach area. My God. Show and prove in Hollywood.
Yes.
Wow, that was crazy. What a fake.
What? Oh my goodness.
Micah, there it is, man. Hey, good job. Congratulations.
Life as I know it is gonna be different, and it feels really.
It
It feels
feel?
really, really good. That
Oh,
was what I
okay.
said.
I thought you
I had
started.
a hard time spinning it. I'm sorry.
I thought you like swore there or something, and they
No.
just cut it out.
My mother would kill me.
Okay. Where is your mom? Where is she? She was here in the last
She was
service.
here in the last service, and she was like asking half the questions. It
She
was
pretty
crazy.
much took over the interview, and you'd have to know Roz. But Micah Johnson is here. Give him a hand. We're so glad he's with us today. Awesome that you're able to be here sharing with us this morning, and we so appreciate you being a part of the choir, being a part of the praise and worship team. We'd love for you, by the way, to be a part of the choir, to be a part of the praise and worship team. If you're interested in singing at all, join us. You can see Amy Davis, who's sitting over here somewhere, and get a part of our choir. We're having a volunteer day today, so you can check that out in the atrium afterwards, and that was just a shameless plug to get people in the choir. But Micah's here today, and it's perfect because we've been in the book of Philippians. We've been talking about this thing called Joyride, and today the topic is joy in difficult times. And Paul tells us in Philippians that it's not a matter of if we will experience difficulty in life. It's a matter of when. And Philippians 1:29, Paul says, "For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him." So suffering in tough times is a part of God's plan for our lives. And Paul claims that we can actually have joy in the midst of difficulty. And I know some of you are going through some really difficult times. Or have experienced some really difficult times, some serious tragedy in your life. So I don't want to say that in a trite way or in a glib way this morning, but that's what Paul claims. And I love Micah's story because we get a glimpse of what it looks like to have faith in the midst of troubling times, to have perspective in the midst of troubling times, and to have a purpose in the midst of troubling times. So it's going to be kind of a cool day today because we're going to just basically interview Micah today. And we're going to hear all about his American Idol experience and how God has been working in his life. And I'd love for you, the audience, to participate in that today. So think of some questions you might want to ask them. Can they ask anything they want? Or do they have to sign confidentiality agreements?
There was one question that was asked last, and then I answered the question, and I shouldn't have. Well, I said it, and then I was like, "Oh, this is going to be online. That wasn't good, so I probably shouldn't have said it." But it is what it is. So.
Yeah, he's got a lawsuit against him now. So, no, but I think you can answer most questions. But you know, he's in showbiz, so some of the stuff he's got to keep under wraps. But yeah, so think of some questions you might want to ask Micah, and I'm going to ask a few questions of you. But you saw a little bit of the story. And it's just amazing to me. How many times did you try out for American Idol before this last season that we saw on the screens?
Prior to June 7th of last year, I had auditioned for American Idol 6 times.
Wow.
The 2 times before, you actually, like, what you see there is 3 rounds of producers. You go through 3 rounds of producers before you actually get to the judges. The past 2 years, 2 years ago, before that, I drove to San Francisco from San Diego. I was in the Navy. I didn't drive from Georgia to so Suburbans. They like to drink gas like I like to drink Kool-Aid. So. But I made it to the second round that time. And then 1 year ago, before where I was stationed at in San Diego, they were there, and I made it to the second round, sang Chicken Fried, just like I did the year before, and it was another no, and like I was in front of Nigel Lithgow, and from So You Think You Can Dance, like he was the executive producer for American Idol, so it was just like this big deal, and they said no, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna cry about it, I mean, I still got a job, I guess.
That's true.
Let's see, May 29th of last year, well, let me preface that. 2 months ahead of time, I was extremely sick, like didn't know why. I would brush my teeth in the morning time. This is gross, so y'all get ready. I would cough up this stuff that was probably about that long, and it was squiggly, like lasagna. I kid you not, it was like lasagna noodles, like semi-soggy wet, but mucusy color, like the little chunky little Mucinex guy. But that was what I would cough up every morning.
Next time you watch American Idol, remember that.
Like uncontrolled, like I'd be like brushing my tongue, and I'd go, and so I told the doc on my ship after it happened for like 2 weeks straight every morning. They were like, you need to get your tonsils taken out. So May 29th, I got my tonsils taken out. 6 days later, started coughing up blood. Come to find out, I had blood clots in my throat. Doctor pulls out these raspberry-looking things out of my throat and is like, why are you still talking like that? And I was like, I can't feel back in my throat. And he was like, really? And 2 days later, they declared it as nerve damage. And it was crazy to think that 2 days after that, I was at Dodger Stadium auditioning for American Idol for the 7th time. And I guess the 7th time's a charm, I I guess.
I guess so. But what is it, like 1 in 100,000 that you would get a problem from a tonsillectomy?
Yeah, well, and that's why they want. That's why they want you to do it as a child, because your tonsils aren't so big. Like I had, watermelon tonsils that they were trying to yank out of my throat. So it was like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like they're like, and they showed them to me like they were ginormous. Like he was like, I've never seen tonsils that look like plums. Like that was what he said.
Wow.
But like I was telling you last service, only 2 people have even contacted me to say that same thing happened to me too, which is crazy. Like they emailed me and told me that night there was a producer from American Idol said that night of the season was the most watched audition night because they were in like 2 cities that whole night. So I think that was why more people watched. But it's crazy to think that out of 37 million people that watched last night or that night, and then 600,000 people that watched the YouTube video, not that I'm counting or anything, like that they were only 2 people that happened to,
Wow.
that have actually contacted
yeah.
me. I mean, like through Facebook, so that's crazy.
600,000 views. And how many of those were you, like checking out your own video?
More of them were Raj Johnson.
Oh, your mom. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
She was on there a lot, telling me. They were like, people are saying nice things. Some people were like, he's faking it. And I was like, what if?
Yeah. Wow. So did you say 2 days before the audition, you found out about the nerve damage?
Well, the day that I went there, like, they were 2 days or 4 days before, when I was coughing up the blood, the doctor was like, that's just not normal. Like I was telling, like still like to this day on my tongue, I can taste my food, but there are parts of my tongue where the texture is not there. Like say if I'm drinking a soda and like I'm talking to you and I'm moving my head, it's like bubbles, no bubbles, bubbles, no bubbles. Or like, I mean, I can like, it's weird. Like, I mean, like I can taste the Chick-fil-A sandwich. Like, thank you,
That's
Jesus.
good. Thank God for that.
Yeah, amen. But it's just like the little like crispity crunch on the outside is like, it's there. Now it's gone. Now it's gone. Like, it's just weird like that.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, besides like some minor like face twitches every once in a while. But besides that, it's not being able to feel the back of my throat. Like I got back here for my VA physical to like get me set up with my doctor and stuff. And the lady was like, I read your bio. She was like, they really messed you up. And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And like she was just trying to make conversation. So she took that little wooden thing and like stuck it to the back of my throat. She was like, and I was like, she said, you don't feel that? I said, what? Like, I mean, she was like, when she moved it to side, and I felt it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
She was like, they really messed you up. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Wow. So you were facing difficult times, to stick to the topic. Faith. What gave you the faith to even show up for the audition after you knew you had nerve damage, after you knew there were problems? And what? Tell me about the faith that kept you going in all the previous auditions that you went to and you stuck to it.
Ultimately, it's always like I said last time. It's one day. Like if your 15-year-old kid wants to go try for American Idol, like take them. Like even if you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, like. At the end of the day, it was like, I remember saying to Mom, I was like, I don't want audition, like coughing up blood, like not feeling good. And she was like, you need to let God guide. And I was like, okay, I was excited, drove up there, and you fill out a little bio. So like when it's 4 people standing there and you're in front of the producers, they're like reading your bio. So like I'm singing Chicken Fried, and she was like they wrote on my little paper, yellow piece of paper that they gave me when I first got through. They were like, had his tonsils removed 10 days ago, talked funny, but sings great. And I was like, okay, I'll take that, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just so hard for even us as Christians. Like, you really sit up there and say, like, oh, I believe God walked on water, and yeah, I believe that. But when God actually, makes you talk like a 4-year-old but still sing halfway decent, like, you're like, whoa, he's real,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it. And that's what people are always like, how does this happen? I was like, only thing I've been told is that, when you sing, your palate's raised. When you talk, it's lowered. And the only time that I really talked normal since then was when I was at speech therapy and they flipped me upside down and I sound halfway normal. Like they put me on this machine and I'm like, and I was like, oh, there he goes. I hear him again. Wait, come back. Like,
We'll try that flip the upside down thing a little bit later.
I don't want
but,
you to hurt your back.
Yeah, okay. So it was a massive leap of faith just to even go to the audition, and miracle of miracles, they saw your talent this time. You said you even really sang the same song in the previous audition, just as well, 2 times. And some of it, too, has to do with the producers, right? They're looking for a story, and they're trying to...
Yeah, like, I have kids all the time, like, here, anywhere, Walmart, Six Flags, Facebook, and they're just like, how do I get on American Idol? And I was like, it took me 6 times. Like, at the end of the day, like, I remember that first time, like, auditioning, I was 16, and, like, we're standing there, and they had, like, put us in groups. So, like, and every time that I've auditioned for American Idol, I've always been the last one to sing in my group of, like, 4 in front of the producers. So, like, I'm standing there, and he was like, you're number 4, and I was like, okay. I don't even remember what I sang, and I sang, like, and the other people were great. None of us made it through. And he was like, pulled us all up at once, and he was like, you're a little young this time around. He was like, come back next year. He was like, you're not quite strong enough for what we're looking for. And I would just remember, like, walking out crying. My mom was like, you didn't make it? And I was like, no. Like, that ugly, like, I just got a whooping, like, snot. And then I think we went to Denny's, and I was okay, so.
Pancakes. Wow. Well, awesome introduction to your story. How about some questions from the audience? The way we'll do it is just stand where you are and kind of shout out your question, and we'll see if Micah can answer it.
I know everybody wants to know if Nicki Minaj is real. Come on. Oh, she was not at my audition. They edited Nicki Minaj into my, so like when I start singing and she was like that, she did it to somebody else. She was there that day, but she was not at my audition. Did I? No, like I always tell people, like, the hardest part for me is like going through a drive-through. I mean, cause like I'm at Truett and I'm like, can I get 2 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, no pickles, diet lemonade, large waffle fry, and a gallon of Chick-fil-A sauce? And they're like, I'm sorry, sir, say again. And I'm like, I'll just come in Bessie Sue. Like it's really pointless. But I think at the end of the day, like I don't want to say that I was like a mean person, like, but I would have laughed at somebody like me. Like if some big old dude like me walked up and then started talking and he sounded like he should be on Barney and Friends, like I would have started laughing. Like it would have been like, whoa, okay. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like the funniest thing that I ever heard was, I remember I was standing at a line and the kid was standing by his mom and they were behind me and I was paying for myself. And the lady was like, your total is blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. And I gave her the money. And I had said some stuff back and forth with the lady, and the kid said, Mom, he sounds just like that cartoon guy. And I remember being like, Disney, call me. Like, I mean, like, I can't help it. But in the hindsight of things, it has been difficult, but it's one of those things like I just learned to live with. God doesn't want me going through the drive-thru anyway. It wouldn't hurt me to walk inside, so.
I told them before, for whatever it's worth, they can't understand me in the drive-thru either, so always get it wrong. Another question for Micah. Go ahead, just stand up.
No, her hair is not cotton candy. Thanks, y'all got that. Y'all watched American Idol last year? Honest to God, I did not know Keith Urban was singing with me until I saw it on TV for the first time. Like, because I was so, like, involved. Like, I was like, oh, chicken bread, love my chicken. Like, I was so, like, into it that I wasn't even paying attention. But I always tell people, like, on top of him, like, that whole experience was awesome. I mean, just to literally have sat there 6 times and done this, put my heart into it, you know. And granted, at 16 years old, season 4, Carrie Underwood would have kicked my butt. Like, like she was the bomb. I mean, like everybody that season was actually pretty good, but it was just like, at the end of the day, like you sit there and it was like the affirmation that I needed. You know what I mean? Like to finally be like, these are my peers, the peers that are really making money doing this. I mean, like Mariah Carey, like is sitting there and telling you that you're one of the best that they've seen. And I was the last contestant to audition for American Idol season 12. Like that felt really good. Like I remember, thank you. I remember at the end, cause like you see the judges there and me, but there's like 20 people in the room, like sitting off in the dark. And I remember the guy that has like the boom, like above your head, the hot dog looking mic, the Terry or whatever. And he's like got it above my head. And like, they were all clapping. And I was like, this is awesome. And I look over and the guy has the boom, like wedged right here. And he was like, I was like, yeah! I'm going to Hollywood!
That's awesome. So what was it like to be the last person of the day? I can't imagine that. I mean...
As I said, I was hungry. It's like a 2-hour drive from San Diego to Long Beach. And so it was like Christmas. Like, I couldn't sleep. Like, I was like, I'm going to see Mariah Carey. Like, we're going to be in the same room. And she's going to be like singing Hero, and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm here. Like, this is heaven. She didn't sing at all. There were people there, and everybody was like, I'm number 30 such and such. Like, because this was the second day. At each city, most of the time, you got a good 60 people, roughly at each city. So, like, we were 30. And you have to think, out of the 35 that were there that day, probably 15 of those were like, remember the little girl with this purple hair that was screaming? Like, and like, she was there that day. Because I remember, like, I had just got in line, and she was, like, running by, and I was like, what happened? And I didn't know what happened until I watched it on TV with y'all. But it was just me walking in, sitting there, not realizing that I was the last person until one of the producers came up and he said, listen, we came back here last. We saved the best that we thought, the best that we think for last. He was like, the judges know your story, but they've never heard you sing. So go in there and blow them away. And I just remember being like, a moment like this. Like, I was like, this is my time to shine, let's go. Like, I was like, here we go, woo! Which was crazy. And then, like, afterwards, it's a really long process afterwards. But people should be really, really grateful. Like, there were people that were sitting there arguing with their spouses, and their kid had just made it. Like, you gonna get the subway. No, you're gonna get the subway. Like, it was just all over the place. But when you think about what Mariah Carey or Keith Urban or even Miss Minaj went through to, you know, get where they're at today, like 6 hours to sit there. Like, I was the last person, went in at 5:30. I think I walked out at like 6:05, 35 minutes into the 5 minutes that you saw condensed down. Afterwards, I saw a therapist. I had a background check run on me, make sure I didn't like steal anything from Walmart. I met with the management of 19 record label who signs a winner. And then, this is the doozy, 688 personality question quiz.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, well, they said the reason that they do, and the thing that really stunk was like the contestant had to do it, but the reason the parents were really upset was because they had to do it too. And it was like, whoa. So if you want to take your 15-year-old, get ready, 688 questions, I'm just telling you. But it was crazy, like, to sit up there and do all that and literally have been there since like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I walked out of there at 12 o'clock the next morning with a bodyguard, like underneath the umbrella, raining, and like camera crews from the news, like they were like, did you make it? And I was like, what, you think I'm here till 12 o'clock because I just want to hang out with Mariah Carey?
So you said bodyguard? They gave you a bodyguard like right away? You made it, here's a bodyguard.
No. Well, they gave, like, you had the bodyguard to walk out with because they said, you better not say a word to the news camera. So, like, the news cameras
really?
were there, but like,
wow.
he was like he had his hands like, and he was a big dude, and I was like, okay, let's go. Like, he was like shuffling me into my car. Like, they were like, are you, what's your name, contestant? And I'm like, I'm Micah, okay. Like,
so he was, I got you. I thought he was protecting you, but.
It wasn't because I was like Carrie Underwood or anything. Like, he didn't care. He was just trying to get me into my car.
Yeah, gotcha. Wow. So let's do this. Do you want to hear Micah sing another song? If the band is around, band, why don't you come on up? And as they come up, I just want to ask you this. One thing we've been talking about with this idea of joy during difficult times is perspective. And so how do you keep the perspective? And would you trade the speech impediment for your American Idol experience? If you could say, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of the speech impediment, but no more American Idol. Would you do that trade?
I would say no. I mean, like, just because I think in the hindsight of things, like, at the end of the day, American Idol is great. I put on my underwear one leg at a time, just like everybody else out there. So if you see me at Truett's, please don't scream. Like, don't, my hand is shaking, and I'm, you know. At the end of the day, it's just like, on top of American Idol, which was the biggest blessing besides accepting the Lord and being born and brought into the world in the first place, is it just strengthened my faith that much. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't have said that I would have believed that God would have let my tonsils come out, a doctor hit nerves, I talk like a 4-year-old and still be able to sing all right. You know, like, and God did that. So I wouldn't take it back from the Lord.
Well, you do sing all right. You sing awesome. Yeah, sure.
Listen, I understand like everybody's on this kick of like, oh, I watched The Voids or the X Factor because I like such and such or whatever. Nicki Minaj is a really nice person. She needs the Lord, but she's a really nice person. Y'all need to pray for her. I'm being serious. Like, she's a great person. She may be annoying, I mean, but she's a really nice person.
Should we edit that out of the video? Okay.
No, but I would probably say Keith. Like, he was just down to earth. Like, every time I was singing, he was singing along with me. Like, I was like, oh, he likes Benny and the Jets too. All right, here we go.
One more question in the back, and then we'll do a song, and then we'll take some more questions. Yes, she said, thank you for serving our country.
You have to remember that this is online, so, and I said something in the last service that I probably shouldn't have said. Besides the producer rounds, because everybody like sees like all these people in this arena, and you think that, you know, the judges sat there and listened to all those people. They probably saw like, honestly, like 100 people, and half of those were, you know, she banged. But biggest surprise to me would probably just be that it's a TV show. Like, if you're a guy and you can sing really good, but you're a jerk, they want you on TV because you're gonna put you in a group. Like, they made that one group, it was called the Country Queens. So that was the difference from the past 11 seasons, was that you could just, like, I made it, like, I got Benny and the Jets, they were like, yes. So they were like, these are your songs. So like, we're going through the songs, and I got with these 3 dudes, and we were like, man, we was about to tear it up. Like, people were walking by like, y'all sound good. And I was like, yeah, keep walking, fool. And like, so we got our song together, and we went downstairs, and they were like, Marvin, David, Micah, Vincent, you're a group, pick your song. And I was like, are you serious? Like, that was the hardest part. And they did that to them too. Like, you take 2 completely like very country guys, like from Willacoochee, Georgia, and put them with these 2. Y'all remember, if you watch American Idol, there was a guy that had on high heels. Like, it was legit. Like, I remember being like, I don't think my mom wears that much makeup. Like, it was weird. But I mean, that's probably the biggest thing, is that it's still a TV show. Like, you had a whole bunch of guys with disabilities, and they just had to like get rid of us and leave what they thought was the best.
Awesome job. Another question for Micah. Yes. Is that Trisha? Who is your biggest inspiration and why?
Well, anybody who knows me, obvious, it's my mom.
I thought he was going to say me, but that's fine. Your
my
mom.
mom, Dingling. And I've never met somebody who was so not selfish. And every time, you know, that I get upset, because, you know, kids ain't perfect, but neither are parents. Mamas, y'all make mistakes too. Don't lie. You know, at the end of the day, it was just like, it was somebody who cared when I was horrible, when I was good, like, and I'm not gonna be able to find that in anybody out here. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I'm sorry, I can find that in y'all, but I'm just saying, like, that's what's scary is like being in that public eye, even though like it's not a big public eye, but it's like, you know, you go to Walmart and somebody notices you and like, you don't wanna be picking your nose, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing is like, my mom will still love me even if I'm, you know, got diarrhea for days.
Yes, I wish your mom was here. She was in the last service. They even sang Chicken Fried together, like in harmony. It was really cool. Really cool. Is Roz in here? No, she's not in here.
Let Jesus take the
But
wheel.
we do have a question up in the balcony. It is.
And that was the thing too, is like the doctor was like, just keep on singing because you're strengthening the other muscles, even though you can't feel, like, because this is what happens, like, so your tongue is there, but when you're talking, it's sitting there. Like when I wake up first thing in the morning, y'all will be like, who, what did he say? Like, it's bad. But like once your voice gets kind of like where it's at, but it's like I can't go like this, but I can go la. I mean, I don't know, it's Jesus. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a doctor.
What was the first part of the...
You wanted me to sing Chicken Fried?
Yeah. Sing, yeah, sing. He said, yeah, it's okay if you sing it. Sing it, man. Sing it like you mean it.
Honestly, like I'm really, really sick. I don't know what happened. I woke up today and a piece of concrete was in my throat.
Pretend I'm one of the judges. I want to be Simon, but he's not on the show anymore, right?
Oh, and I hope he would be really, that would be my fear.
Yeah, but I just, you know, but if you can.
You know I like my chicken fried, a cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. I like to see the sun rise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love.
Woo! Yeah! That's awesome, man. You got a gift. One of the other things I wanted to touch on today, this whole joy and suffering thing, we talked about faith, we talked about perspective, but what about purpose? Have you been able to feel like, you know what, it's a bummer to have this speech impediment, but I've seen some purpose and maybe why God has allowed this to happen?
Yeah, kind of what she had asked. It was crazy. Like, did I say that in the last one or this one? Like, I had two people who contacted me, and when I was still in San Diego, one of the people that contacted me lived in this place called Chino Hills, which was like 2 hours away. I had a going away party. Like, a whole bunch of people came, like friends and stuff, like from the Navy, and this girl came, and like, if I could like describe her to y'all would be like, she's as tall as I am, skinny, like she has a lot of tattoos, like she should be a model. Like, and then she opens her mouth and starts talking and you're like, whoa. And it just, I mean, and it's the same way that I would perceive people, you know, thinking that, not that I look like a supermodel by any means. Plus size, get it right. Full figure. But more cushion for the pushing. No, and she actually, I didn't tell the other services, but she actually had a doctor in Rhode Island who gave her a retainer. And so what the retainer does is it takes that soft palate that me and her can't feel, and it pushes it up. So she would like, we were walking around in my party, and I was like, Katie, put in your retainer. Like, she would put it in and like talk for like my friends, and I'd be like, look, guys, she talk. Like, and she would start talking, and it went from sounding like this to sound like she just had a real bad cold. Like, it was amazing. And then she was trying to like get me with the doctor, and so I could get one, and I was like, thinking to myself, I was like, Mom was like, you should do it. And I was like, God did this for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, this is how people know me. Like, if somebody thinks that they recognize me at a Mandisa concert, they're not gonna ask, were you on American Idol? Because some people are kind of shy. So the lady, I was literally walking around with popcorn and water for me and Mom, and she was like, how much was that popcorn? And I was like, $2.50. And she was like, you're that guy! You on American Idol! And I was like, chill out! Shut your mouth! But like the thing is like still like sitting on it right now, like I don't know what the purpose is for my life. Like I was ready to start school, but to me in my eyes, like it wouldn't make sense for me to enroll in whatever school and go audition for American Idol on July 26th at Gwinnett Arena, and like know that I would be missing classes, like things like that. Like I got 2 years, a little bit under my belt, you know, some credits here and there. And I want to get back in and do that, but there's no way that I can go to, you know, all these schools around here in the area and tell these kids to aspire for their dreams and just be like, well, let me go back to college. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to keep on till God takes me home.
We hope that's no time soon. But yeah, well, that's awesome. So you've been able to actually connect with other people that are going through difficult times, and that brings some purpose. She should go on national TV in front of four judges.
How old is your daughter? Oh, July 26th. Hit you. I've sung for a really long time. Like I remember there were times like I remember my first song, like, and I remember just kind of like standing there with the mic stand, being nervous and being like, "Shout to the Lord, all the earth." Like I just remember being scared, like knowing that I could sing, but it was just. You just gotta get comfortable. And like, I know grown people that I'm like, sing out. Like, I hit bad notes all the time. You're gonna hear some probably a lot. But I'm just like, just sing out. Like, don't be ashamed. Like, okay, come on. Come on.
There's only one way to get over your fear.
I'll come down.
Do you know Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen?
Oh, no, I don't. Wait, that's a little...
I want her to sing all the parts. Like.
Okay, what's something kind of easy?
This is a mother-daughter moment that is significant.
Come on, you know, come on. You pick this song. You can't think of one song off the top of your head. Mariah. Then a hero comes along. Something. Come on. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Kara.
I don't even think
I'm singing with you. I'm right here. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Woo. Told you could do it. The next step is the stage.
Good job, Kara. Could hear that little harmony under there. It sounded awesome. Another question for Micah. Oh, way in the back. How has American Idol changed your everyday life, or has it?
Oh, it has. I think the biggest thing is like people care about what I put on Facebook now. It's like when you go from having like 500 friends to having like 3,000 friends, then it's like, I mean, like people in Brazil are like, this lady kept on messaging me and saying hola, like kept on sending me messages. Like I literally have 8 messages that said hola. And I was like, the people I live with, I was like, can you tell me how to say, I don't know Espanol? I mean, and so I like said it and then she was like, oh, hello. I mean.
Maybe she lives in Ola and she's just.
No, H-O-L-A.
Oh.
And so I was just like, the craziest thing to me is like getting noticed. Like the first time was the weirdest because like the lady was crying. It was Super Bowl Sunday and I was going over to a friend's house. We were getting chips and drinks and stuff. And in California, they have like walk-in like refrigerators where they have like their drinks and stuff. So like I walked in and I turned around and it was like, I mean like, what's that stuff y'all wear on y'all's eyes? Like, yeah. It was like, she had like tarantulas rolling down her face and I was like, you need to move. Like I was really scared. Like, and she was like, were you on American Idol? And I was like, oh, yes, I was. And like, and then I remember like we took the picture and I remember like putting it on Facebook and like, she was standing there and I mean, she was a very pretty lady. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. We took the picture and she was like, I was like, so what's your name? And she was like, I think her name is Emily. Like she still like responds to my stuff. And she was like, I'm Emily. And she was like, and that's my husband. And I was like, okay. It was like I just wanted to be Justin Bieber for 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like I wanted somebody to be like, yeah, we like Micah Johnson.
All right, one more question, and then we want to have time to let Micah sing one more song, right? So we got a question right over here.
What's my favorite what, Christy? Same question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I actually got it tattooed right here on my wrist. So anytime I get discouraged or want to, be like, oh, I can't take this anymore, it's Psalms 121, 1 and 2. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From where my help comes from, my help comes from the Lord. And I just wanted to say something that this young lady right here sitting in this chair was her and another person personally, like through my life. Like I maybe known Christy like 10 years, and it was crazy to me. Like, and she was there. Like we were going to church together when I had auditioned for American Idol the first time, and it was just one of those things where I was like, I can't feel sorry for myself. Like Christy's story, long story short, some big hefty dude like my size fell on her, and now she's in a wheelchair, and every time I sit up there and think, like we were saying before, like I have people on Facebook who message me and say, I just had my tonsils taken out last May. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. And I always think back to people like her, or people like that, or a girl that I know that's in this area, goes to Eastside Baptist Church, met her, and so like her mom walked her up afterwards, and the girl is like, has a T like across her throat, and I'm like, okay, this one's gonna be interesting. Girl has tongue cancer. She had it like 2 years ago on the back of her tongue. So they cut out her tongue, cut the cancer off, and put her tongue in her thigh to keep it alive, to see if the cancer will grow back. And to me, it's just like every time like I'm on Facebook and I'm like, I hate you got me fat. Or like, and it's just something stupid and so like minute. I think about people like Christy, or I think about that girl, Shelby Hendrickson, with tongue cancer. And she's just as happy-go-lucky. Like, we went out to Truett's, took her out to eat, and the pastor and his family from that church, and I was amazed to sit there and watch somebody that I knew could barely taste their food, with no tongue in their mouth, just drinking a chocolate milkshake, and I would be like, if I couldn't taste food, y'all would see a lot less of me. Like, she's good. Like, I even went over to like one of those church members' houses, and like we had like burgers, and she was like, she had the little, you know, those little magic bullets with the, and so like she put her sweet tea in there and put the hamburger in and the potato chips, and I was like, ooh. And she was like, and like started chugging it, and I was like, I mean, she has to get the nutrients. I mean, even if she can't taste it, which would, if I couldn't taste, it would be a bad day.
Well, man, I love your story, and I appreciate you sharing with us today, taking the time to share what God's doing in your life. I want to pray for Micah today. Yeah, let's give him a hand. He's auditioning again for American Idol, and July 26th.
Gwinnett Arena, so if you think you should be there,
Kara.
Get there.
And I want to pray for you today, too. Anybody here today who may be going through a tough time in life. In fact, why don't we do this? If you'd like for me to pray for you today, stand where you are as we pray together. Maybe you know somebody who's going through a really difficult time, and you just know that they need prayer. Today we want to have a time of prayer where we can pray for people going through difficult times. So if you want me to pray for you this morning, go ahead and stand right where you're at. If you want me to pray for somebody that you know who needs prayer, go ahead and stand right where you're at, and let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your faithfulness. We thank you for your word. We thank you for this amazing concept that we can still have joy, that we can still celebrate you and who you are in the midst of difficult times. And Lord, I just thank you for Micah, for his faith, and for the perspective that he's had throughout this whole ordeal. And Lord, that we've been able to see purpose in his story. And Lord, I pray for those people today that are standing because they themselves are facing difficult times, or they know somebody who's going through a crisis. Lord, we call out to you and rely upon you. And we just ask that you would show us the purpose you have in the midst of these circumstances. I pray, Lord, supernaturally that you would help folks here today to have joy in the midst of those difficult times, to have a supernatural peace that Paul talks about in Philippians. And Father, we also know that you're our provider, you're our healer, and so I pray that you would work in these circumstances. And Lord, we just thank you so much for your faithfulness to us. We thank you that we can hear real stories about how you're working in the lives of those of us in the church, those of us even outside the church. Father, we give you praise, we give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.